After months of lies, my wife confessed she was moving in with her ex, demanding I sell our house. "You're a pathetic failure. He's the love of my life," she hissed, tearing up our photos. "She's too good for you." Her sister laughed. I signed the papers. Then my inbox exploded with 19 emails pleading for help as their plans unraveled. I never thought I'd be sharing this here, but I need to get it off my chest, using a throwaway for obvious reasons. I'm Warren, 33, and my wife Kira, 31, just blew up our 7-year marriage in the most brutal way possible. Looking back, the signs were there for months, but I was too caught up in our routine to see them clearly. It started with small things. Kira began working late, which wasn't unusual in her sales job, but then she changed all her phone passwords. She'd never done that before. We always had an open phone policy. When I mentioned it casually over dinner, she snapped that I was being controlling. That should have been my first real warning. Then came the spending. Our joint account started showing weird charges. Expensive restaurants I'd never heard of. Boutique shopping sprees. Salon visits during work hours. When I brought it up, she'd brush it off with vague explanations about client meetings or treating herself because she deserved it. The real red flag was when she started going to the gym at odd hours. Not our regular gym, a fancy new place across town. She'd come home showered, hair done, wearing outfits I'd never seen before. Something felt off, but every time I tried to talk about it, she'd turn it around on me. "You're paranoid. You're suffocating me. I can't believe you don't trust me." Last week, everything exploded. I was fixing our kitchen sink when her phone buzzed on the counter. A message preview from Grant popped up. "Can't wait for tonight, baby? He still has no clue?" My hands were shaking as I read it. Grant. Her ex from before we met. The one she'd always said was just a good friend when he'd comment on her Instagram posts. I waited for her to come home. She walked in around 9 p.m., looking like she'd just stepped out of a photo shoot. When I showed her the message, her reaction floored me. No denial. No tears. Just a cold, cruel laugh. "Well, I guess you're not as stupid as you look," she said, tossing her bag onto our couch. "Grant's successful now. Partner at his firm. What are you? Still fixing things and dreaming about your little business ideas?" I stood there, watching this stranger wearing my wife's face. She pulled out a folder from her bag. "I want you to sell the house. Grant and I are moving in together next month. His place is too small for us. The house is in both our names," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'm not selling." She actually rolled her eyes. "You can't afford the mortgage alone, Warren. Don't be pathetic. Sign the papers. Take your half and go rent somewhere cheap. It's what you're good at. Settling for less." Then she went to our bedroom wall, ripping down our wedding photos. "You were always temporary," she hissed, tearing them up. "Grant's the love of my life. Always has been." The next day, her sister Winnie showed up unannounced. I used to think of her as family. "Kira told me everything," she said with this smug smile. "She's too good for you, always was. Grant can give her the life she deserves. Just sign the papers and disappear." I stayed quiet, letting them think they'd broken me.